The other night I couldn't sleep and picked up my Bible and started reading in the book of James. That's not usually a book I go to for comfort or rest because James is so confrontational. He'll talk about making sure you have joy in your trials. He'll talk about the hypocrisy in our lives, taming our tongue. And then he gets on to chapter 4, and this is where it really caught me. Verse 13, he says, "Now listen, you who say, 'Today or tomorrow we will go to this city or that, spend a year there, carry on business, and make money.' Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, 'If it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that.' As it is, you boast in your arrogant schemes. All such boasting is evil." James asked that question, what is your life? And he calls it a vapor. And all throughout the Bible, our lives are compared to things like vapor or mist or fog or grass that just grows and then dies off. Peter calls it the time of our stay. It's almost like checking into hotels and they'll say, for the duration of your visit or for the time of your stay with us, just a temporary passing through. We're called pilgrims on a road to something beyond. And so James says, your life is like a vapor. It's here for a short time and then it vanishes. If you've ever gotten up early in the morning and seen the morning sunrise with the vapor, we live right near Lake Ontario. And so that view is just stunning. And that vapor is there at the beginning and then slowly as the sunrise, it goes away. And that's what James says our life is like. And so in all of our independence, in all of our planning and our self-reliance, he confronts that attitude of, if I can just accomplish this, I'll maintain, I'll be in a good trajectory, I'll bring in a good amount of money, I'll provide for my needs. And he says, hold on. Instead of making all these plans, maybe it's instead of all the activity you've been doing in order to stay safe, in order to maintain health, he confronts us and says, what you ought to be saying is, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. And I think we often like to jump to, if the Lord wills, we will do this or that. And we assume that middle part about our life. We assume because we have life, especially here in the States, if we have it, we deserve to keep it. If we have it, we own it, we control it. If we have it in our hands, then it's ours to control. And what he says is, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, first of all, you will live if he wills. And then you will do this or that. But it begins with life. And we are so good at taking life by the reins and saying, as long as I'm the best sister, as long as I'm the best daughter, the best wife, the best mother, the best employee or employer, as long as I do everything I need to do, I will guarantee that life moves on in this same direction. I will make sure that we eat this certain diet, eat this way, that we exercise, that our family is healthy, that we do everything we can, and life will continue as it always has been. And James says, what we ought to be saying is, in all these plans, in all these responsibilities, it is the Lord's will that determines. It is the Lord's will that we live. Our breath is not up to us. Our health is not truly in our hands to completely control. And so how do we know if we've crossed the line and said, I'm going to be God? Because isn't that the battle? Isn't it taking God's place when I say, I'm in the position of determining life or death? And sometimes we can reach that point in our own lives. Sometimes we can say, all right, whatever happens, I know that God's will happen. But what we really struggle with is, what about my husband, my kids, my parents, the friends that I love? Have I truly said, if the Lord wills, they will live and do this or that? If the Lord wills, they will wake up tomorrow. We do not know what tomorrow brings. And so James would say, if the Lord wills, this is how we should be planning these days, planning, being responsible, taking precautions, but ultimately saying, it is up to the Lord. He holds our hands, He holds our lives, and it is Him who determines our time. And one of the phrases that has helped me to process through the responsibility versus God's role, my responsibility as a mom versus God's role over my child's life, is this simple phrase that God is God and I am mom. Whatever role it is that you feel is the most pressing on you right now, whether that's taking care of your parents and so you're caretaker, God is God and you are the caretaker. If it's your kids who are fragile, vulnerable, God is God and you are mom. If it's your husband, God is God and you are a wife. And God does not hold us responsible for life. God does not hold us responsible for breath. And as women especially, we will beat ourselves up if something goes wrong. But breath and life are not ours to control. And I have wrestled through this in the past, and I am wrestling through it now. So just know you're not alone. If God wills, we will live and do this or that.